Okay, Shavua Tov. We're on 85, and we're going to try to finish tonight 85 and 86. And so we've been discussing the law of Kilayim. We saw in the Mishnah that you can fit 5 different species in one garden bed that's 6 by 6 if you have a configuration like this. And then the last thing we saw was that Rav Asi said that you should have a border of 1 tefach around it. And so now what we're going to discuss next is 2 opinions of Rav and Shemuel regarding how many of these can you make in a row. In other words, if you have one of these here and then you make a grid, another one next to another one next to it, all like a chessboard, right? Would that be okay? Or would you have a problem of each one would be encroaching on the one next to it, and so you'd have kilayim with the side of one here and the side of the next one over here. And so we'll see that Rav says you have to have nothing around it. It has to be, you can do this, but only if you plant this garden bed alone with nothing around it. And Shemuel says, no, you can put other items around it. So that's what we're going to discuss now, those 2 opinions.
Yes.
Amar Rav aruga bechurba shaninu. What we're talking about is making a garden in a ruin, in a desolate area, and that you have nothing else around. And we question that, but we have the place of the corners. In other words, if there's really nothing around it, then why can't you plant it like this and then add 4 more for a total of 9, right? Because then you could have because there's nothing around it, so nothing will encroach. And so why only 5? Why not 9? Okay. Amri be'Rav mishmei derav. So in the name of from the school of Rav, in his name, they say b'memale et hakeranot. We're talking about a case. Maybe in fact that would be okay, but we're talking about a case where you fill up the keranot in this way, right? So that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then so you can't put anything and next to it, and that's the problem. Well, I'm sorry, the previous one was saying that it's talking about a case where you did fill up the corners. But then the question is, okay, fine, fill up the corners, but how about fill up the corners in this way? And see if you do it like this, and you repeat this above, it will be okay, because since it doesn't fill up the entire corner, and this one will not fill up the corner, but will go this way, so they still won't be near each other, and it'll still be recognizable that this one is vertical and the one next to it is horizontal, is a different species. As long as it's recognizable to the eye, that's a different species, it should be okay. So you know what, if you do it like this, you could still get away with doing a checkerboard, and you don't have to do it in the middle of a desolate field. So his answer is gezerah shema yemaleta keranot. We're afraid that if we allow one to do this setup and multiply it over and over, that you'll end up filling in the corner and making an L shape. And then once you have that corner here and the next one have a corner here, then that will be kilayim. And so it's too hard to maintain that everyone will follow this strictly. Now, next question is v'lo yeh ela rosh tor yarak. Well, it would be okay if it was like this setup. Milo tenan haya rosh tor yarak nichnas letoch sadeh acher mutar. This is a different halacha in the laws of kilayim, which are very complicated, and we're only getting a tip of it here. Is that if you have a large field and you planted one thing this way, and you have another one, this is kind of like, the way Borough Park juts into Flatbush, right, on an angle. So you have another one that juts in on a corner, but 2 squares. The Mishnah says this is permitted, because it's clear that this is one part of the field and there's another part of the field, even though they butt up against each other and they're almost adjacent in this spot. It's still permitted because the eye can tell that they are 2 separate ones. So why don't we say that same principle regarding this? If you multiply these, and we say no, en rosh tor ba'aruga. This rule of rosh tor, meaning a triangular garden, only applies to a big field. It does not apply, because there it's clear because you see the expanse, but does not apply to a little garden like this. Now that's all Rav. Shemuel now says, Aruga ben ha'arugot shaninu. No, we are talking about a garden bed among other garden beds, and you can multiply them. It's okay. Oh, but aren't they going to join each other, each one next to it, and then you'll have a problem? Oh, the answer is benote shura dechan v'shura dechan. What you do is like this picture down here, you incline them in different directions. You make these plants go this way, and these plants move that way, and then it's clear that they belong to two separate beds, and so that's not kilayim. Amad ola ba'u b'ma'arava hifkia telem echad al peneh kula mahu. In the West, they asked this question: if you leave a furrow across the whole thing. So, in other words, if you have a series of garden beds like this, but you so on, right? Would that be okay? Can one furrow separate between different species? That was their question. Mahu amadav sheshat ba irbub ubitel et hashura. And it says, no, it's not good. The mixture of different species comes and nullifies that furrow, so it's not okay. Rav Asi, however, says, and erubom metel tashura. The mixture does not nullify the furrow, and so the furrow keeps them separate, so it's okay. Some people think this should not be Rav Asi, but Rav Ashi, because the next we're going to have a question. Ravina asked a question to Rav Ashe, so it should be the same sage. They sound similar, but different spellings. Okay, so Rav Asi said it's okay that you can have a furrow in the middle, and that's fine. But we have a question to him. שתי שורות של דילוין, שתי שורות של פול המצרי, מותר. And the Mishnah says you can plant 2 rows of cucumbers, then you leave a furrow, 2 rows of gourds, or maybe even without a furrow, right? Even without a furrow, and then 2 plants of fool, and that's okay because you can tell each species is distinct and has its own area. But what you cannot do is shura achat shel kishuin, v'shura achat shel diluin, v'shura achat shel ful misri asur. If you have only one row of each, it's not good because then it's not distinct. One row, you don't see that as a unit, as a section. And so that is a question to Rav Asher, because you see that just putting one row does not differentiate between one species and another. And so why did he say over here, in this case, that this one furrow will differentiate? If in the Mishnah, similar case, it does not differentiate. So it's here, it's different. There, it's different because there are what it says branches. In these 3 species, they're very long. The roots are very long, and they're going to end up encroaching upon each other, and so that's why. Or the branches will encroach upon each other, and it's going to look all together. So a single furrow is not enough between them. However, in a small garden patch, that would be okay. So he differentiates between those cases. Amar Rav Kana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, haroseh lemalot kol ginato yarak, oseh aruga shisha al shisha, ve'ogel ba chamisha, umemale karnoteha kol ma shehirtzeh. So this is in Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Yochanan there says, if you want to fill up your entire garden with vegetables and you want to make use of all possible space, you can, if it's of the small garden bed, you make circles like this. You put one species here, one here, one here, and you have 5 different species. And then you can also fill in other species in the empty spaces. In the corners, you could put anything you want. So that's Rabbi Yochanan's opinion. Gemara asks about that, but there's a problem, because then you're going to fill in the spaces over here, or maybe between each patch, and then you're going to end up mixing species. So how's that any good? B'marchib ben ama amred Rabbi Yanai b'marchib ben habenayim. Oh, must be a case where you leave that empty. You leave that space empty, and then it's okay. Rav Asher, however, says, Amar, you see Rav Asher was Mekel up there, and here also, if you were planting over here horizontally, plant over here vertically, and that way it'll be a separation. Again, Ravina asked Rav Asher a question. Avodat yarak beyarak acher, shishat tefachim, veroim otam, ketabla merubat, ketablahu deshareha lav hachi asur. So we have a Tanaitic source that says you can make a vegetable garden of 6 by 6, and put different species on them, and you see them like a tablet, like a grid. But they have to be like a grid. They have to be all be going the same way. That's how a grid works. But if it's not the same way, it's not good. So here you have a small space, and you're putting them different ways within the small space. That's not like a grid. So he answers, Hatam la kole ba kula acharina latir rosh tod hayoseh hemena. No doubt that source saying that it has to be a grid was talking about a large expanse where one has to be one way, and then the diagonal is the other way, like we saw up here. So here, one is horizontal and one is on a different angle, and that way you can put them together, right? That's talking about that law of Rosh Tod. But if it's talking about just a small patch, it's fine to put them one way and the other way, and that's how we end that discussion of the Mishnah. Okay, now we get to a new Mishnah in which we have a series of more halachot that are also learned from different Pesukim, although here some of them are from the Torah, and then from Yeshaya and Tehillim. It goes as follows: Minayin lepoletet shichbat zera bayom hashlishi shetehet teme'ah shenemar hayu nechonim lishloshet yamim. Okay, we just celebrated Shavuot. This is related to that. If a woman has relations and now she has zera, semen in her, how do you know that it stays in and can come out and would make her tameh up to 3 days? Because we learn from in the pasuk that Moshe tells them when they come down when it goes down to right before Ma'amad Har Sinai. This was the reading for the first day of Shavuot. He says, go get ready for 3 days. In other words, the men and women have to separate for 3 days before Matan Torah. Why do they have to separate for 3 days? Because if they have relations on 1 day, and then then they have to wait 3 days for her to be cleaned out of his zera. And so that's where we learned that it can be in there for 3 days. Okay, that's halacha number 1. The second one, minayin she'mar hachitzin et hamilah bayom hashlishi shachal liot b'Shabbat. How do you know that you're allowed to wash a baby with hot water on Shabbat if it's the 3rd day after his Brit Milah? In other words, generally you can't wash and you can't do things can't do medicine unless you really need it. So the point is that the 3rd day after Brit Milah is one that's very dangerous, and you have to make sure to wash the baby in hot water. And we learn this from in Bereshit. This is when they go and trick Shechem, and they all do Brit Milah, and then they take advantage of them because the 3rd day and they're all hurting. So we learn there from that the 3rd day is where it hurts a lot, and the baby really needs a warm bath. Okay, this is a quote from a Mishnah later on in the 19th perek of Shabbat. מניין שקושרים לשון של זורית בראש צעיר המשתלח, שנאמר, אם יהיו חטאיכם כשנים, קשה לגלבינו. How do you know that that we tie a crimson string on the goat that we send off to the desert on Yom Kippur? We're talking about. We tie a string to it and a scarlet strip of wool, because it says in Yeshaya, if your sins are like scarlet, they will become white like snow. And so we put that string on it and also connect it to a rock. And then if we see that the string turns from red to white, then we know that God has forgiven the sins of Bnei Israel. And last halacha, minayin l'sicha shi kishtiyah b'yom kippurim, also related to Yom Kippur. How do you know that anointing with oil is not permitted and is similar to drinking? Just like you can't drink on Yom Kippur, you also can't anoint with oil. Well, there's no proof for this matter. The Torah does not say explicitly, it just says, you should make yourself suffer. It doesn't say exactly what that is, but we have a hint to it. Says comes like into a person, like water, and like oil into his bones. So you see that smearing oil is similar to drinking water, and so therefore we can learn that connection from Tehillim, that they're both not allowed on Yom Kippur. Of course, there's only a remez, not a full proof, because drinking water or eating on Yom Kippur is chayav karet. Smearing with oil is not chayav karet, so it's not actually the same level of prohibition. But still, we learned something that's similar. Okay, so that's the Mishnah, and then we're going to deal with just the first one now, and we're going to discuss who was the author of this first opinion in the Mishnah about how long Zera stays inside the woman, and there are versions of there are manuscripts that say here not tim machloket of different opinions. The second law it happens to be the opinion of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Wait in that Mishnah, but just keep that in mind, and then this will make sense. Resha de la ke Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, sefa ke Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, dei ke Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah tehora shama'na le. Okay, it looks like the Resha, the first case regarding Poleta Chichbat Zera, cannot be Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, even though the second case regarding Brit Milah is Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Because if the first case was, then we would have to say Tehora, because that's his opinion, that on the third day, anything that comes out of her body is Tahor. So, man de of opinion, a general approach of Mishnayot, does everything in the Mishnah have to be one sage's opinion, or can different statements in the Mishnah, even if they're said anonymously, be ascribed to different opinions? Okay, so that itself is a difference of opinion about how to approach the Mishnah. So according to the one, who wants the whole Mishnah to be one opinion, so then you have to change the word in the Resha, or you have to follow the version that says tahor here. So if the first version says tahor, and then the second one says you can wash the baby on the third day, both of those opinions would be Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. And that way the whole thing could be consistent. The person who still doesn't mind having a machloket and says, this is like Rabbi Yochanan says this in other places, the one who says a Mishnah can include multiple opinions, Reshad Banan, Sefa Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. In that case, you can have the first opinion be the Rabbanan, and so this could be Rabbanan. They say Tameh, and the Sefa, the second opinion, can be Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Okay, so that's the two approaches that we have. Now we're going to get into further detail to clarify what that's all about. And here's how it works. Tanu Rabbanan, we have a three-way machloket. Poletet Chichbat Zera Bayom Shelishi Tehora Dibre Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. According to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, if a couple has relations on day one, that's considered the first day. They wait a second day, and then the third day she is tahor, right? And we assume that no zera will come out of her, or if it does, it's tahor. It's not considered zera anymore. So therefore, it's just a two-day waiting period. Rabbi Yishmael Omer, Pamim shehen arba onot, Pamim shehen chamesh onot, Pamim shehen shesh chamesh onot, Pamim shehen shesh onot. He says that it could be, ona means a 12-hour period, a day or night. And so he says it can be 4, 5, or 6. That's the second opinion. I'll explain that in a second. Rabbi Akiva Omer Lolam Hamesh. No, it's always 5. And if she went into part of the first, then you can remove that from the 6. In other words, it's 60 hours altogether. Let me explain these three with a little chart that we're going to have right here. Okay, we're gonna deal with this part of the chart, the lower part of the chart, in a little bit. But right now, I'm only using the chart for the days of the week, so don't pay attention to the rest of it. So let's assume that we have a couple, and they're always going to be ready on Friday night. She has to be clean for Friday night, mitzvah night. Okay, it happens to be also that the rabbis thought that Mamad Har Sinai was on Shabbat, and so they would have to be ready on Friday night for Shabbat. Okay, so that's our goal, is for her to go to the mikveh. This is not nida or not zava. This is talking about any time a couple would have relations. That zera itself makes her tameh. And so if she wants to eat teruma or anything like that, then she would have to be tahor or be ready for Mamad HaSinai. She'd have to be tahor. So let's assume that would be Friday night. Okay, so according to the first opinion, which was Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, he was the most mekel. He said just 2 days, but it doesn't have to be 2 full days. So you have Friday. I'm going to use the Hebrew terms for the night and the day. Right, well, say Yom HaShishi. Yom HaShishi means Thursday night and Friday. That would be 1 day. And so that means if a couple has relations on Thursday just before sunset, then that's considered Yom Chamishi, is 1 day. And then Yom Shishi is the 2nd day. And then Friday night is already Yom Shilishi. And he says the 3rd day, Tahor. So in other words, for Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, the minimum would be 24 hours plus a few minutes. That's considered 2 days. That's all that she would need. Maximum would be if it was if she had relations Thursday morning or Wednesday night, would still have to wait that full day, and then Yom Shishi, and then Friday night. That's the first opinion, which would be 2 days or a minimum of 24 hours. That's the first opinion. The second opinion, which was Rabbi Yishmael, says has to be 3 days, three full days, which can be either 4, 5, or 6 24-hour periods. How so? Well, for him, you have to push this whole scenario up a day. You need 1 day would be Yom Shishi, a 2nd day would be Yom Chamishi, and then the 3rd day would be any part of Yom Revi'i. So if a couple had relations on Wednesday before sunset, that would be at sunset. That would be considered 1 day finished, and then another 24-hour period, Wednesday night, Thursday morning. That's 2, and then Thursday night, Friday morning. That's 4, and then Thursday sunset is that's past the 3rd day. So then she is clean. So for him, the minimum would be 24 hours. 48 hours, right? The minimum would be 48 hours. That would span over 3 days, although it could be even more if they had relations Wednesday night. Then you'd have to add another 12 or to 24 hours. So it could be up to 72 hours, according to the Rabbi Ishmael. Now, that's the second opinion. Rabbi Akiva is a bit more machmir. He says it's always, you don't go by days. It's not 2 days or 3 days, but rather 5 onot, which is 60 hours. And you can count them from point to point. If it's 6 o'clock, if it's 8 o'clock one day, you count it to 8 o'clock, 60 hours. So for him, since you have to be ready Friday night, 60 hours before that would be, 1 day, 2 days, and then 12 more hours would be sometime before on Wednesday morning, would be the latest time they can have relations for her to be ready Friday after sunset. Okay, I know it's a little complicated. I hope that was clear. So let's go back to the Baraita. Okay, Tanu Banan, that's the 3 opinions. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says only 2 days, by the 3rd day she's fine. Rabbi Ishmael says it could be 4, 5, or 6 onot. The point is always 3 days. Rabbi Akiva says 5 onot, 5 sets of 12-hour periods, and and you count from point to point, which is 60 hours altogether. Okay, so that's the Baraita. And now, if we compare that to the Mishnah that we just said here, the Mishnah says, so this is saying that on the 3rd day she is tameh. Well, this would look like it's not the opinion of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Could be Rabbi Ishmael or Rabbi Akiva, because they both say that on the 3rd day she would be tameh. So that's what it looks like. So the Mishnah, the Gemara is saying, if you change the word to tehora, which is in some manuscripts, then this could be Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, who says on the 3rd day she's tahor. But if you have it as tameh, then it cannot be Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. So the manuscript of the wording of the Mishnah will depend on which of these opinions you follow. Okay, good. Now we can go further into the discussion of this. Amru harabanan kamed Rav Papa. So the rabbis discussed this, and they said, Bishlama Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah kerabanan de'amre bechamesh abed perisha. Rabbi Ishmael k'Rabbi Yoseh de'amar be'arba abed perisha. Okay, so if this was not complicated enough, I'm going to make it slightly more complicated by bringing in when was the date of Matan Torah. Well, we have two calendars here. Okay, so this is where we get into this. Well, since we learned this whole thing from be ready for the third day, so it is very much related. There are two ways of calculating the calendar. Let's start with the one that we know, right? Shesh b'Sivan bo Natan. Okay, we celebrate Shabbat on the 6th of Sivan, which means that Rosh Chodesh, we assume that they got to Har Sinai on Rosh Chodesh. So that would be on the Monday. And then Moshe goes up, and we assume every time it says Moshe goes up to Har Sinai, he goes up in the morning. So each one of those is another day. This is not Peshat, obviously, but right. But this is the rabbinic calculation of the days. So Moshe goes up, and Hashem says you're going to accept the Torah, and they say okay. And then Moshe ascends and descends and tells them set up boundaries. That happens on Wednesday, and then on Thursday Moshe ascends and tells them separate from your wives. Aha. Okay. Now if he says on this day separate from your wives, that's during the day on Thursday. That means the earliest they can start separating from their wives is Thursday night, yeah, or late Wednesday. So that means that if they had relations sometime on Thursday during the day, maybe before Moshe got to tell them, then she would be clean Thursday before sunset. That's day one, and then Thursday night, Friday morning is day two. And then Friday night, they're already going to the mikveh to be ready for Matan Torah. So this follows the opinion of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, who says you need 2 days, right? The day that they found out, that one day that they wait, and then she goes to the mikveh the next night. That works for Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Okay, it would not work for Rabbi Ishmael, however, or Rabbi Akiva, because there's not enough time. However, there is the opinion of Rabbi Yoseh. Rabbi Yosef is saying another opinion about the calendar. He pushes everything one day earlier. He ends up having Ma'amad HaSinai on the 7th. And so now if you push everything one day earlier, here you have a full extra day to in order to be separated from their wives. So this works for the Rabbi Ishmael, because he'll say they got the commandment on Wednesday during the day. So they separated from their wives, and that would be considered day one. Yom Revi'i, then that's one. You have Yom Chamishi is 2, Yom Shishi is 3, and so by sunset on Friday you have 3 days, and then Shabbat would be the 4th day. So according to the Ishmael, the Ishmael opinion about Shichbat Zera would fit with Rabbi Yosef's calendar. Okay, so we got Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah is this one, Rabbi Ishmael is this one, but what about Rabbi Akiva? We're going to see Rabbi Akiva is complicated because he needs 60 hours. What about the 60 hours means from Friday sunset includes Wednesday morning, right? If you go back, that's, right, because that's a full 2.5 days. And so the problem is Moshe only went up in the morning and didn't get a chance to tell them. And so what if they had relations first thing in the morning, and only then they heard Moshe say you have to separate from your wives? Then they would not have a chance to come be clean by Friday at sunset. Okay, that's the question we're going to be dealing with right now. Okay, so they said this statement, and they said, all right, fine. This is Rabbi Ishmael follows Rabbi Yosef, who said Barba Avid Perisha, that they separate on Wednesday. Rabbi Akiva Keman, who can Rabbi Akiva follow? Leolam ke Rabbi Yosef, Kedama Rav Ada bar Ahava Moshe b'hashkama Allah u'b'hashkama yarad. No, it can still follow Rabbi Yosef because Moshe went up first thing in the morning. He went right at sunrise. Moshe didn't dilly-dally. He's not going to wait around and when he and sit and have breakfast first. He's going to go up at sunrise, and so it's okay. B'hashkama Allah. How do we know that he went up in the first thing in the morning? Dichtib Vayashkem Moshe baboker vayalad Har Sinai. This is This is later in Shemot 34. It says he woke up in the morning and went up to Har Sinai. So you see, he goes up in the morning. And he goes down in the morning. So all the goings up and going down are always in the morning. Okay, so that's how we know he goes in the morning. And why did he tell them in the morning hours? Why did Moshe have to tell them this commandment in the morning? He said the Jewish people are holy, and no one has relations during the day. It's not modest. Relations are only done at night, and so therefore, it's only the previous time they possible would have been Tuesday night. They might have had relations. Wednesday morning, no one would have relations because Israel they are modest, and so you wouldn't have to tell them during the day. You could tell them anytime on Wednesday, and then they'd be careful Wednesday night. The answer to that is ha'amarava im haya bayit afel mutar. If it's a dark room, a dark house, it is permitted. The point is that the room should be dark. It doesn't have to be dark outside. Also, just close the shades. Or another thing, a person who is punctilious can use the sheet as a cover and cause darkness there, and that will be modest as well. So therefore, it could be that they would have had relations during the day, and that's why Moshe had to tell them the first thing in the morning before they did that. Okay, and so therefore, we can follow Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva can follow the calendar of Rabbi Yosef. Okay, fine. Now, v'hat tivulei yom ninhu. We still have a problem of a tivul yom. Tivul yom means someone who was tameh, let's say from Shechvat Zera, and she went to the mikveh. That's fine, but she cannot eat teruma until nightfall. You need to go to mikveh and nightfall, two things. Before nightfall, she called tivul yom. She did tevilah, but it's still daytime. She's tahor for some purposes, but not fully tahor. And so here you're going to have this problem. We'll go back to the chart. And so, let's say, according to any opinion, but let's say Rabbi Akiva, right? So they waited these 60 hours, right, from Wednesday morning and then Friday night. Good. So Friday night, she goes to the mikveh, and that will make her tahor from Shechvat Zera. But that's Tivul Yom. It doesn't complete until nightfall on Saturday night. And so that means that they're receiving the Torah in a state of purity that's only 80% purity, not 100%. That's the question. Abaye bar Rabin, Rab Chadina bar Rabin, Amret Hadvayu nitina tona litbul yom. They say, yeah, it's okay. So they were tivul yom. So what? They couldn't be able to eat teruma, but they were tahor enough. That's fine. In general, this is a big machlok between the rabbis and the Dead Sea sect. Dead Sea sect said, for example, someone who prepares the para aduma has to be 100% tahor, has to be after nightfall. And the rabbis say, no, the kohen preparing the para aduma can be a tivul yom. And they would go on purpose and make the kohen tameh just so he would be a tivul yom. So this opinion here that the tivul yom is almost 99%. That's okay. Don't worry about it. Might fit into a larger machloket. Okay, so they could have been tivul yom. Don't worry about it. Rabina was saying this, and Rabina said to him, "Nitena ka'amart or reuya ka'amart? Ma'ale reuya ka'amart." Are you saying that it was actually given to tivul yom, or it's possible that it could have been, that it would have been fitting? He says, I just been fitting. It didn't really happen. In other words, it would have been permitted if it did, but it so happens that no woman actually saw any zera on Friday night, and so what they would do is they would dunk before. They would go to the mikveh on Friday before sunset, and then wait till sunset, and that way they were totally tahor, and no one saw zera on Friday night afterwards, so they wouldn't have to be tivul yom and go to the mikveh again. And so, although they could have gotten it, no, don't worry, that didn't actually happen. Okay. Now, someone has a question. If they go to the mikveh during Ben Hashemashot on Friday afternoon, why don't they get the Torah right away? Shouldn't they get the Torah right away? Why do they have to wait till Shabbat morning? They're excited to receive it. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, lo merosh baseter dibarti. Our version of the pasuk is a little different. We don't have the word merosh. Pasuk in Yeshaya says, I did not speak to them in concealment. In other words, when Hashem reveals the Torah, it's not a secret, like, oh, come on the side and I'm going to just give you, but don't tell anybody about it. No, this should be a grand event. This should be out in the open, given, and, everyone should be invited and know about it. Okay, so that's why it was during the day. Well, in that case, why do they have to go to the mikveh Friday night? Why don't they have to go to the mikveh on Saturday morning? Go at sunrise and then receive the Torah after. And then you have more leeway in case they saw Zera, you wouldn't have this problem. אמר רבי יצחק, שלא יהיה הללו הולכים לקבל תורה, והללו הולכים לטבילה. Just imagine the logistics of it. All the women have to go to the mikveh, and then other people are going to, or someone who saw, Zera has to go to the mikveh, and other people are going to Matan Torah, and have to wait for them, and so it doesn't, you want everybody to be on the same schedule altogether, and so therefore they went to the mikveh Friday night, and they received the Torah in the morning. Good. Amar Rabbi Chaya beRabbi Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Zo divrei Rabbi Ishmael veRabbi Akiva. Okay, we have yet another opinion. We saw three of them, right? We need 6 full 24-hour periods. In other words, 72 hours. Okay. Amar Rab Chisda, machloket shepersha min ha'isha, aval persha min ha'ish teme'ah kol zman shehi lacha. Okay, this is going to get a bit strange. This machloket about how long is semen tameh is only talking about when it was the couple had relations and it's inside the woman and it comes out of her vaginal canal. And then the question is it 24, 36, 72 hours? However, if it came out of the man directly, then anytime, as long as it's moist, it's tameh. Metib Rab Sheshat, kol beged bechol or, asher yeh alav shichvat zera. Perat shichvat zera shehi serucha. My love shepersha min ha'ish. And so we have a question because the pasuk says any zera that's on a piece of clothing or leather, and this means that it has to be fresh and not if it's old, spoiled. So doesn't this talk about a case where it comes from the man, and yet anytime here it says if it's spoiled, in other words, after a certain number of hours, it's no good, and doesn't say anytime it's moist. That pasuk is talking about when it came out of the woman, has to be fresh, has to be viable, and not if it's spoiled. Well, is this the same law if it came out of a non-Jew or a non-Jew? Israel, did they give a mitzvot habil gufayu? Jewish women who are always worried about mitzvot and that causes them anxiety and higher temperature. In that case, their body destroys the zera faster. Goyim delade give a mitzvot la, but non-Jews who don't worry about mitzvot, their bodies work differently. Or dilma kevad achlin shekasim masim chabil gufayu, or since they non-kosher, that makes their body temperature higher and that destroys it just the same. And within that, if you think that non-Jewish woman also has the same law, and it will be the same amount of time that they destroy the zera. What about behema mahu? What if it's placed inside an animal? Isha deitla perozdor de masrancha da behema deletla perozdor lo. Is it because a woman has a canal and that's where it becomes foul? But an animal that does not have that canal, you would not say so, and it could stay longer inside an animal. We leave this as a standing question. We don't know the answer to that. Okay, I'm not sure why they asked that or why it's relevant. But we do get to now a very important baraita. Tanu Rabbanan, Bashishi Bachodesh Nitenu Aseret HaDiberot. Okay, remember those two calendars? We just assumed that you knew them, but now here's the actual source for the double calendar, for the machloket about the calendar. The one opinion says that the Torah was given on the 6th day of Sivan. That's Rabbanan. Rabbi Yosef Omer Bashibi Bo. He says no, on the 7th. Amarava. That's all the Baraita says. Rava is now explaining it. Everyone agrees that they arrived at Har Sinai on Rosh Chodesh. So since it says on this day they came to Har Sinai, the word Hazeh, as through a Gezerah Shava, refers to Rosh Chodesh, because in Exodus 12 it's explicitly Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh, Afkan Rosh Chodesh. Okay, that's the first assumption. Already you can see that these are not necessary in Peshat. Udekule alma b'Shabbat nitna Torah l'Yisrael k'tiv hacha zachor et yom haShabbat dekadesho uchtivatam v'yom Moshe la'am zachor et hayom hazeh. We know that the Torah had to be given on Shabbat because the fourth commandment says, remember Shabbat, zachor Yom HaShabbat. And the word says, on this day, remember this day. So remembering has to do with this very day. So if he's teaching him Shabbat, in Aseret Dibrot, he must have taught them about Shabbat on Shabbat. Okay, good. So now we have our parameters of the beginning and end. But the question is regarding when the new moon happened. Rabbi Yosef Sabar Bechad B'Shabbatai K'Bayadcha. Yosef says it was on Sunday, and then end up on the 7th. B'Chad B'Shabbat Lo Amar Lehu V'Lamidi Mishum Chulsha De'Orcha. Now, if they land on Sunday, if they arrive on Sunday, there's no communication, there's no prophecy on Sunday because they just got there, they got to rest, they got to set up their tents, they got to relax from the journey. On the second day after, they say, you're going to be Mamlechet Kohanim, you're special, and the people agree to it. Good, that happens on the next day. And then Bitlata, Amalehu Misvat Hagbala, Barba, Abud Perisha. And on the next day he says, separate, don't come up the mountain. And on the next day, he says, separate from your wives. Rabbanan Sabre Betre B'Shabbat Bayadcha. The Rosh Chodesh was actually on Monday. Betre B'Shabbat Lo Ma'alum Medi Mishum Chol Shadurcha. No communication then because they have to rest from the day. Betlata Amar Lehu V'Atem Tiyuli. On the next day, Hashem said, "You will be my special nation," and they agreed. Barba Amar Lehu Misvat Hagbala. Then he said, separate, make a border for the mountain. And then it was only on the next day that they actually separated. Okay, so that's the two calendars, and we'll have a further discussion about these calendars that we'll return to tomorrow. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen.